So I'll tell you a little bit about me. My company is Big Apple Pet Supply. I've been around since 1994 online. That's before there were add to carts. There were no add to carts. It was like you put your stuff up, you hope people found you. Google wasn't really there. I mean, it was a whole different kind of market. I do a lot of consultations with zoos, museums, parks. I've worked with we have over 100,000 customers, so I've been doing this quite a long time. It seems to me that some of the companies really aren't quite in touch with the way consumers are looking at pet food today. We've all heard this kind of term going, the new consumer, the new customer service, all that. It really does mean something. It's not, don't take the term lightly, because there is a new customer out there. And, are they listening to the manufacturer anymore? Not really. They don't believe in the manufacturer's word anymore. They want to look elsewhere. What are their friends doing? What was the shelter using? What is the vet telling them? I mean, there's all kinds of, what's the guy who owns the pet store? What is he saying? So, there really is a change. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. I go by Vegan Petman, and that's sort of a persona that I brought up in the last 4 months alone. And before everybody gets excited about that, no, I do not advocate a vegan diet for cats and dogs. And we'll get a little bit more into that. But basically, just to let you know, I established a Twitter account and I have over 8,000 followers in 4 months. When I put out something and I say, this pet food sucks, guess what? I just changed 100 customers, and they go back and they go, wait, but I thought this was great. Well, it's not great, and here's why it's not great. And the next thing you know, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to the pet store, I'm switching my brand, what should I do? And then I put out the top 10 pet food brand list. And then suddenly this company has 100 new customers, this company. But it's not just me. There's 100 other guys like me that are coming up in Twitter, in Facebook. I know from my own business, I do YouTube as well, I do videos. My YouTube channel is going to hit 1 million views this month. So the products that I have done video on, I have seen 300% to 400% increase in sales. It's powerful. Most people don't know that YouTube is the #3 search engine. It goes Facebook, Google, and then YouTube. Don't underestimate the power of videos. I keep telling people in the e-commerce world, I keep telling manufacturers, I'm not kidding, videos are king. It is the next revolution. Getting people closer to tasting, smelling, touching, that's the way to do it. I mean, all of you should be working on your social network. It is the killer application. If I had to tell one thing today, it's connecting to people is the killer application. Of course, you want to connect to the right people, but also just building your fan base is huge in companies today. I'm big into cause marketing, and I hope most of the companies that are here today are also big into cause marketing. I built my Vegan Petman accounts very rapidly with cause marketing. I do a lot with animal shelters and rescues, and people love that. I mean, they acknowledge that you are helping out the community that also grows your business. And you're going to see the trend growing because people are really, they're looking at the labels. They're looking at the labels. And I've been in stores, and I've even gone to people, I'm like, why are you feeding that food? I don't know. That's, I bought the dog and that's what they were feeding it before. I'm like, well, can you read the first ingredient? They're like, she said, I just did this last week, and she said, I know, it's corn. And I said, well, what do you think about that? She goes, well, I don't know. It seems like corn, it's not a bad food. I'm like, well, what do you think about it for a dog as the first ingredient? And they're like, well, she said, maybe it's not so good. Maybe it's not so good. Well, what should I be feeding them? So, I kind of rattled off some things, and her head got a little crazy, and I said, listen, this is just something you really need to just be thinking about, because keeping her on this food, I said 5 years from now, you're going to be paying your vet big time. It is. Mark it down your date. If you keep this food, you are going to your vet in 5 years and paying a big bill. If you can tell people, I'm going to make your dog 15% more healthy, I guarantee you, and I've done my own studies on this, and I've talked to people, would you be willing to pay 15% more? Yes. The answer is almost always yes. So if you can put it out there that I am doing this much more for your animal, they're willing to pay it. You know, companion animals are really people's family. And what they will do, they're like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. I will spend more for my dog or my cat's food than I will for my own food. And I'm like, really? Yeah, I was kind of surprised at how many people are really willing to spend more. Don't underestimate this. Like, you know, you can take the dog food up, you can take the cat food up a notch. People will go for it. I'm telling you. I've done my research in this. I know it. I'm not saying all across the country. I work with people across the country, but there are demographics to be filled in every area. Healthy, natural, and holistic, those terms are almost meaningless. They just go, whatever. Let me see, the proof is in the pudding. Let me see exactly what is in here. Does it have real meat? Does it, you know, is there grain in here? I mean, they're actually getting into this. They're actually like, okay, I get it. The most important thing that I do for my companion animal is choose the right food. It's the most important, and I constantly tell people, it's the most important choice you're going to make in your animal's life, what you feed them. Even if I ask somebody on the street, do you know what the main allergy is that for your dog? Like what food might? Corn, soy, and wheat. I mean, it's so known because we're all marketing it now. Corn, soy, and wheat free. So it's no secret. You know, so it is up to every consumer to look at the data and try to figure it out. I mean, I hope that more guys and gals like me, you know, they go out there and they really try to start figuring it out for the consumer because they are confused. And I'm not saying corn inherently is bad. I'm not saying it's a bad food. I'm not saying soy is a bad food. I'm not saying wheat is a bad food. But what I am saying is that we know that those are high allergens. Though if your dog has an allergy, they likely have an allergy to one of those three. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a, quote, bad food. I'm saying there are healthier choices. All the concepts and all the great, you know, 30-year studies and things like that, most customers could care less about that. They want to know today and now, what's the best thing I should do for my companion animal? This is my child. That's where they come from. We're seeing more people make food at home. We're seeing products that supplement making food at home. And there's a big thing. I mean, again, I'm seeing it on Facebook. I'm seeing it on Twitter. I'm getting more of, well, I just, you know, I cut up chicken. I get organic chicken, or I get organic meat of some kind, or I'm using fish and vegetables at home. Is this okay? Like, yeah, I mean, you should make sure that you're getting a blend. And again, things like Wendy's product, you know, helps the consumer. Well, there's 9 vegetables already just ready, and just mix your own meat. So we are seeing more and more companies offer that as a solution. So I would recommend that besides the canned, obviously you're going to do kibble. I mean, I'm not a big fan of kibble, but, you know, there's a demographic for that. There's a demographic for canned, but there's a demographic for let me help you make a good solution at home. Part of what I do is in the exotics world, so we sell frozen mice, frozen rats, that kind of stuff. I know, okay, so maybe it's not for you. But the interesting thing is that I have customers who have crossed over into that arena and actually provide directly the frozen mice and rats to their cats. And some of them said that they are doing phenomenally on mice and rats. Now these are raised for food, so they're pure there. But so it is interesting where you think customers may and may not go. Keep your mind open, because there's a consumer world out there that you may not be aware of. And so when I say think outside the box, maybe think outside the box. You'd be surprised what you could come up with that consumers might adhere to. Be transparent. End of story. If I could tell you one thing to mark down today, be transparent. And do you know what I mean? I mean that customers get it. They know when you're not quite being there with them. They know when you're not quite telling them the whole truth. And I'm not talking about lying, but I'm talking about they know when the crux isn't there. They know when there's something missing. I have a business. I understand consumers. I understand price. And I understand profit margins. I get all that. I guess what, you know, maybe we're asking is that you just take it to the next notch. Bump it up. Figure out how to do the marketing so that you can take your product level up just a bit and work it from there. Because that's the first step, is to take it up a notch. And I guarantee that most people, as I said, they will pay more for better food. You just have to let them know it's better food.